So the usual B20 Vtec came along the shop and we disassembled it. It's all stock block and stock B16 head. So we're gonna run Golden Eagle cam gears and Gaze racing belt, Crowder cams, and of course one of pistons on stock ARP rod bolts on the rods. So here we show you we're gonna start with the head, we do the template and all that, and then of course we're going to show you every single detail, including we're porting the head and of course assemble the bottom end. So hey, this build is just for you. Alright, first things first, our new page is up and running because the old page remained dormant because I lost control of it as my personal Facebook account got hacked, so I lost moderation control. On the new page, we have the price list there, pinned down so that you can always see it, and also we constantly make posts or do posts of our daily work at the shop and share all the good stuff. And so hey, I'm expecting you guys to like and follow the page, and I'll be interactive with you guys. As you guys comment there, I'll try to reply every single comment that you guys do. So I'll see you guys there. All right. So this B20 Vtec came to us. Well, the owner sent it and he said this is a stock B20 block with a stock B16 head, and he wanted us to build it the way we build B20 Vtec. So hey, we gladly obliged. And so here we're gonna disassemble this, and you can see it's actually even stock cam gears, right? Yes. Okay, so he has Crowder 403 cams, and we got him the Golden Eagle cam gears, ARP rod bolts, and ACL race bearings, and one up pistons because he's gonna stick to stock rods, and that's what we've been doing even with ECU later. So here we disassemble the block, we try to inspect it, and it seems like nothing's wrong with it because the owner said it was running before. It looks like it's all good. Now here, after balancing and checking the one-up pistons, we had it pressed into the stock rods. And yes, here we got the ARP rod ball. So we're going to stretch that upon assembly. So that's going to be good. And here it is, all labeled. All right. But let me show you this. This is a Crowder 403 cams. At first, I thought this was a used set. So he sent it unboxed and just wrapped in, cling wrap. There's 403. But upon closer look, check it out. It's actually brand new. So, hey, this is going to be really cool. And we got to be careful with it. We're going to actually lubricate it really well so that upon startup, it's going to cam break in well. Or the cam will break in well, sorry. Okay, here's the ACL rod bearings. Let me show it. Just so everyone knows it's not an empty box just for display. All right. Here's the main bearings. There you go. Okay. Now it's all ready. We actually sent the block to the machine shop for honing and decking. This way it's all ready to be assembled because everything checked out fine. So perfect, right? Okay. So now upon waiting for, as we wait for the block to get done, now we can go straight and check on the cylinder head. Let's go, let's go. And as we stated on the membership only video on how to cut our own intake gasket, we actually do this specifically to the head that we're using or working on. This is actually to be more accurate, and there's no one size fits all. Okay, so here we are now on the porting bench. We did the initial pass on the carbide, just a bit on strategic areas, and now we're going with the 80 grit here. Okay, we go for the time lapse so it's faster. So the 80 grit actually eats up a lot of aluminum. I mean, it eats up fast. So if you need to remove some material, for me, 80 grit kind of works. But, of course, when you're porting, let's say, an intake manifold where you need to carve out huge amounts, we go straight to the carbide. And even on the exhaust, we also do that. But before we go there, if you're liking this video, hit the like button. I mean, it helps show the algorithm that activity and it's being liked by a wider audience. This way, it's gonna spread out to a bigger audience. And of course, if you haven't, subscribe and hit the notification bell. This way you get updated on all the good stuff that we keep posting here. And of course, and as with YouTube's new offering, there's super thanks. So that is up to you guys. So definitely appreciate that. And you guys know I'll give back more than ever for you guys. And so, like I said, on the exhaust, we start with the carbide because the carbon sometimes are too thick. So it helps us speed up the work. Here, okay, we time lapse this so it's gonna go faster. We start shaping it, and you can actually feel the core shift as you pass the carbide onto the sidewalls or to the center divider. So this helps you remove or minimize the core shift so that when you go with the 80 grit, it goes smoothly, and then it's easier to go 120 and sometimes not needed. Here you can actually barely see it because it's full of debris, but yes, this is the carbide finish now. All right, now let's go with the 80 grit. All right, and you can see if you enough passes or with enough passes on the 80 grit, and of course with the lubrication that we did or we mix, you can almost no need to go with a 120 grit, but we sometimes do because it just looks better. All right, here you go. And now the 80 grit is done. You can see it's a lot more work to do, but we got the initial shape done now. So let me take you to the workbench right now. Let me show you something. Since we had the pistons pressed, now the rod bearings are next, and you can look at this. This is actually rebuilt quite recent. So I asked the owner when did they acquire the car and the engine, of course. He said it was December 2022. So this is roughly 9 months old. That's why it looks like it's newly rebuilt or recently rebuilt because of the bearings. But look at that on the number three. That's a crazy wear. That's gonna spin a rod bearing in no time. And the owner said he barely used this because he's not comfortable with the engine's status or history. So now here with the ACL rod bearings installed, now it's good. Let me show you the rod bearings of what it had. Here's the rod side. On the cap side is on the left here. You can see there's unusual wear or ridge, but you can't really feel it. It's actually smooth, but there's a reason why that initial coating is being removed or is removed. The clearances are not good. And here on the number two bearing, much in the same, right? Yes. Now look at the number three. It's a lot worse. That's crazy. This is actually considered an inferior build. And the problem with this is there's too many local ones that are like this. Like, they're like self-proclaimed builder and tuner, and then they build something like this and sell it and actually consider it like freshly built. So locals have to be aware when buying engines that's locally built because if they haven't anything to show for, that's all claims. And actually, the truth is, I know someone or a few that does this, and actually, one of them is like a president of a car group who's a self proclaimed builder and tuner that spins rod bearings all the time. So that's crazy, and that people has to be aware of that or be aware of that because newbies are in a bad hand with that, because he's a so called president of a car group here. That's crazy, right? So now let's install the crank because I gotta show you guys something there that's gonna be really, really interesting for you. So, hey, we're trying to show everything, and every time we do this, we're trying to show you something new. So let's go, let's go. All right, now here we are with the block. We're not yet gonna install the pistons, but we're gonna show you. We're gonna spray this with carb cleaner and show you guys how quickly surface rust happens. And if this is gonna be stored until the next day, or we're gonna build it the next day, we're gonna spray WD-40. But for now, just carb cleaner because we're gonna be ready to install the pistons. Let's wipe it now with lint-free cloth. This time it's white, so you see that brown. That's surface rust because there's no assembly loop because we haven't even installed the crank yet, right? So before you install the pistons, you gotta double check that and make sure everything is clean. So we're just showing you this now because we're still gonna do this later before we install the pistons. Okay, we turn this, okay, there. Now we install the race main bearing. Let me grab it here where it's over there on the desk. Okay, race main bearings. You can see it's black. Okay, assembly lube, and then we drop in the crank. Okay, and then of course the thrust washers, groove side out. or as my colleague says, groove sight on the side of the metal, which is the crank, of course. Now is the main caps. We hand tight this and then we torque to the first step. Let's go. So first step is 18 feet-pounds torque. Okay, we're not gonna time lapse this because this is gonna be really quick because it's just a short turn and it's gonna reach 18 feet-pounds torque. Yes, sir. You can hear the click. Yes, I love hearing the click, so I love building engines. That's why. All right. Come on. Okay. Then, all right. Yes. Okay. Now let's go to the second step. Let's go. And okay, second step is 56 feet-pounds torque. You can hear the click is gonna be louder now. Oh yeah. All right. And we gotta time lapse this because it's gonna take a long time, all right? So now here we do all the rest. And now here we turn it. Check that. I wish you can feel this, guys, because it doesn't spin lightly. That's why I had to use a ratchet handle. It doesn't spin lightly. And we're gonna show you the reasons why. And mind you, we're assembling this with ACL race rod bearings. But there's a lot of things to be aware of and to check. And now let's go back to the bench. Well, okay, workbench. Let's go, let's go. All right, now, here's the OEM main bearings that we removed on the block. Not the race bearings, all right? Here on the left side is the block bearings or block main, and the right side is the on the main caps. Okay, let's look at the number one. Look at that. See, so it's actually new, but look, those shiny areas on the outside, that's rubbing. Or at least the clearance is way, way too small that the oil is actually removing the initial coating of the main bearings. You can see here on the outside is the same, and they're all unequal, right? Yes, and you can see the dots. Those are debris. So this was assembled not clean. So the assembly was not really clean when they closed it up. Here, this one is actually clean, but there's still wear on the shoulders or on the fillet radius. And here, same thing, right? Now on the number 5, which is near the flywheel, it's a lot worse. Look at that. That's crazy. I mean, this runs and all that, but this does not spin freely. And people wonder why they don't make power. This is really important. It's important to check how the crank spins freely because that's windage loss if it's heavy. You see number 1, you can see the dots there. That's dirt when you're assembling it, and it's oh wait, let me focus there. That's dirt, but the shiny part, that's lack of clearance because it's rubbing smoothly. Okay, like number 2, the same. There's not much dirt, but the shoulders are shiny. Sooner or later, there's gonna be copper. And look at that. This is crazy. Look at that. On the center is just, but the thing is, when you feel it, it doesn't catch your nail. Look here. See, you don't really feel it even with your nail. So that's smooth, but there's a reason why it's removing the coating on the center side. That's because there's lack of clearances. And the thing here is, if you it's okay not to have a micrometer and dial gauge because we have that, but if you actually did plastic gauge this, you would have seen this before even running it. So why build it when it's inferior, right? So that leads me to believe that they did not even plastic gauges or double check anything. That's crazy. The previous owner probably spent the same amount as having us build this, but this is what they did. That's crazy. That's. And the reason why I'm making this a point is that locally, okay, I don't mean anywhere else, but especially just here in the Philippines, maybe there's a few of these in the US, but there's a lot of good shops there, so they'll be okay. But locally, there's always like a for sale car or engine that's newly built, but it might be like this. And it's not necessarily cheaper, so why not just have your own engine or car built by a reputable shop, of course, like either from us or above 500. There's a lot of reputable shops in the Philippines, or at least in the NCR region. So why buy? So the thing is, they're gonna say they need it for something else, right? But you tell me, are you gonna sell your favorite build? Probably not, right? Unless it's like this. Then you're gonna sell it, but you're gonna try to recover as much as you can by saying it's freshly rebuilt. So that's crazy, right? So now we have to send the crank for micro polishing, and we actually measured the main journals with a micrometer, and this is an old picture, by the way. So we're gonna still gonna shoot for 0.0015 to 16 main bearing clearances, and the rod bearings are 0.0018 maximum. So even here the head is almost done. We're gonna finish this off, so it's gonna be really good, because once we finish this head, we're gonna assemble it, and of course once the crank is back, we're gonna assemble the bottom end, like the crank, and then the pistons. Of course, assemble this head, and of course, when it's done, you can also click here